My name's Claire Jefferson. I work with Splodge Designs. We're a creative arts company. David Horn from the Paulsgrove and Wimmering Carnival Steering Committee really wanted to put together a project which would bring heritage into the area. So we've been working with lots of different groups, from schools to residential homes to places like the Scouts and Chaos. We go into the groups and take in information which has been gathered from the archives. So the groups are learning all about researching where you can find out all these details about their areas, and we bring in photographs that they can see, and we then get them to help us make things that will go towards a timeline.
About 1920, this area became part of Portsmouth officially, so part of the Portsmouth city area.
Before that it was part of Fareham.
Yeah. That's it.
This is probably the most fascinating project that we've undertaken so far about the history of the area. And although the history for Paulsgrove, which is now just over 5,000 houses, 100 years ago in Paulsgrove, there was nothing. There were just fields and farms. So we've come a long way in just 70 years as a community.
They're called prefab houses. They were made as like a kit that people then built, and they built them quite quickly really. Slightly all different colours there. We are interested in local history, particularly history of Paulsgrove, and what we like to do is to do special art workshops where people can learn about their local area.
One of the joys is watching people's faces react when you ask them questions like, did you know there was a racecourse around here? And them to go, really? And you say, where do you think it might have been? And it's literally like outside their school building. I think little nuggets like that people don't realise, that they walk past roads that might have a name like Racecourse Lane, and they walk past it every day after school and they never realise why it was called that. And hopefully it's like sown a nugget of interest about their local area. Next time they walk past, they might look around the area and go, are there any clues to how this area might have been in the past?
War, working in the chalk pits.
Academic subjects like history, people, oh, that's boring, you know. Well, let's make it interesting. Let's make it relevant to people, you know. Let's make it interesting. And if people can use their hands in any art form, dance, drama, and painting, photography, anything art form like that, to make history interesting. And I think this is what this is all about.
We're doing drawings of Portsmouth Castle and the Roman fort. Yeah. And they're drawing like the field, and we're drawing castles.
Fantastic.
We're drawing the house.
Okay, and why do you think it's important that we remember this sort of local history?
So you can learn. So we can learn some history from it and tell other people when we're older.
This project is bringing together lots and lots of different groups. It's giving them pride in their area. They're learning more about it. Sometimes Paulsgrove can be a bit of a neglected area. It was north of the city. It's sort of like you had to come quite a way to go to it. Paulsgrove, some people say it was named after St. Paul, who they said came into this area. Came to Paulsgrove, but it's a nice tale. We think it might have been named after a famous Saxon chief. I think one of the reasons that we kind of do the heritage and we link some artwork to it is because it's like a nice way of gently introducing it. So when we go into after school clubs or anything, they're not just feeling like we're giving them a very dry lesson on history. They're kind of learning the history, and then they're actually reproducing it, and they can ask questions while they're doing it, and it kind of builds up that education and that knowledge.
And why do you think you're making this sort of collage of that house?
Because it shows what they used to be like and what they're like now.
Yeah. So how many people do you think might have been living in this area in 1086 when they had the Doomsday Book? 42? 142? Lower? Really? 1. So lower? Lower? 50, yeah. There were about 50. Back in 1086, there were just 50 people.
I think art's a really important medium where everybody can do their best and excel and produce something of themselves and from learning without having to have the education side, especially through Scouts, of having targets. So here, the children are here to learn about their community, so they're already invested, but also with people who come and do a brilliant activity where they learn a little bit, just drip, a little bit more about their community and what's happened. So I think for us, these children have a really enriched environment by coming up to our Scouts and taking part in the activities that we do with Splodge Designs. So it's really quite interesting for us to see over the last 100 years how Paulsgrove has changed to what we have now, especially as we know they were tin tops, we know these houses were put up in a day, but actually, what was it like before?
Very interesting, but very emotional.
Why has it been emotional?
Because of what I've heard and seen, it brings up memories. Keeps my brain occupied, such as what's left of it.
History is, although it is interesting in its own right if you have a list of facts or a list of dates, but what brings it to life if you can find visual pictures or paintings or maps and bring them to life.
We should never forget, because that's how mistakes are made and injuries are done again. We should never forget, never forget.
The carnival has been going on for the last 37 years. It started because I think that people wanted to connect with the local community. So we had schools, we had churches, we had Scouts, all those groups all came together and said, you know, let's do something annually for the local area, get everybody involved, making things, and let's have a grand parade throughout the streets and ending up with a fun day, a free fun day on a date in June every single year. And we've done that since 1985 and it's just as important today as it was 40 odd years ago.
So heritage projects like this are incredibly important because I think sometimes people don't realise where to go to actually find out all the information. And Portsmouth has a great archive and central library that you can go and use for free, learn all about what's going on and what's happened, see the old papers, read all the books. And that's been really helpful because we've used that archive to feed into this.
I'm making a horse.
Making a horse?
I'm making a horse right now so it can go for our merry-go-rounds.
And then all these groups are learning more. They're amazed that there was a racecourse in Paulsgrove. They're amazed that you know what had happened over the years. You know that the fact that prisoners helped build Alloway Avenue. These are all things that people didn't necessarily know. So it opens a whole wealth of information. And you'd be really surprised about how much people engage in this and how much children love to learn about where they live.
Edward the Confessor promised Harold and William both that they'd get the throne, and when they didn't, and when they found out that they'd both been promised it, but they both couldn't get it, they had a fight which took place in Hastings in 1066. Once William took over, he built a bunch of castle barracky things, and one of them was Portsmouth Castle.
Very cool.
And he had to use the chalk from the chalk pits to make it.
And why do you think they used to be, I know some people still watch horse racing, but it used to be really popular. Why do you think it used to be really popular?
Because they didn't really have anything else to do.
And it'll be in Paulsgrove and Wimmering's history forever.
We're really grateful for Heritage Lottery for funding this because it's brought a lot of joy and interest to a lot of people.
So we'd like to say a big thank you to the Heritage Lottery for funding this project in Paulsgrove. It's been amazing. It wouldn't be something that we could do without your help and funding, and it brings a great deal to this community. So thank you.